Hi Kidmin Nation. If you have been in Kidmin for a while, something you might struggle with is the pickup process. I know that's always a little hectic for us. In my context, we have several services and the gap between them is just not long enough. And so sometimes that process is hectic. And alongside of that, even if pickup maybe isn't a big deal, there's this opportunity that we have to connect with parents or the guardians of the kids that we're entrusted with during that time. That might be the only time we see them face to face. And something that I've been thinking about a lot is how to better use those opportunities to engage with parents. And so something that we've done is we've really challenged all of our leaders that are in the classroom or there for pickup to really be intentional with that time with parents. And so I want to challenge you to do the same thing. So practically speaking, a few things that we've done that maybe you could use are we use that time to really split the focus of the leaders. And so we have at least a 2-leader rule where every group has at least 2 adults or leaders. Some of those are teenagers, but we try and keep them like 16 and up to count for that ratio. But we have a 2-leader rule. And because of that, that allows us at pickup to put 1 leader with the kids and 1 leader at the door or the front of the line, depending on what context we're in. We're also mobile for some of our services. And so when that happens, the leader that is with the kid is usually continuing either an activity or discussion questions or doing some sort of fun game to occupy them, to keep them safe during pickup. And then the other leader takes time to engage the parent. And so we have pickup tags that they have to check, so they'll call for the kid. But while that's happening, we've asked our leaders to do a few simple things. So number 1, make sure the parent knows that you're glad their kid was there. Hopefully you know who their kid is, even just after you ask for them. You can have a specific example of something that child did awesome that day. We really like to praise our kids in front of their parents because we want parents to know, number 1, we had our eyes on their kids, they were watched, they were safe. Number 2, sometimes parents are apologetic at the drop-off process. They'll say things like, oh, they're having a really hard morning, or if you need me, just put my number up on the screen. They expect the worst, and so we want to crush that and give them the best in return. And so we'll talk about something awesome that child did. Sometimes that's just they listened the whole time and stayed seated when they were supposed to. Other times you can talk about how they participated in discussion, or maybe they made someone else feel welcome, or they were just a joy to have there this morning, and I'm so glad they were there. And so we try and praise the child in front of the parents. It's good for both of them, I think, to hear those things. And then the other thing that we try and do is give a little bit of information that parents can use to engage their child in discussion on the way home. And so we'll say things like, this morning we talked about, and we'll give them what the Bible story was, just so they have some of those keywords. Because when they ask their kid, hey, how was service today? And the kid says, good, we don't want the conversation to stop there. And so sometimes parents need to know what to ask about. And so then they can say, hey, I hear that you learned about Joshua. What is Joshua's story all about? And then we go one step further and we try and give parents something that they can work on or talk about this week. And so at pickup we'll say, hey, so-and-so was a rock star today. They did a really great job participating in our discussion and just talking about what God's doing in their life. That was so cool and exciting to have them here this morning. Today we talked about Joshua, and we're talking about how Joshua trusted God no matter what, and because of that, God used him as part of his story. And so this week, talk to your kid about how you trust God. Share that with them because it's not always easy, and we want them to see that too. And so in less than 60 seconds, you can connect with a parent and let them know, hey, your child was loved on, your child was part of what was happening here today, they did a fantastic job, they're welcome. 2, they learned something valuable from the Word of God. That's hugely important. And 3, you can be part of helping them take that even further, because we want parents to know, equipping their kids, discipling them, that's not really even our job in Kidmin. our job is to help them equip and disciple their child. And so we try and give them the tools and resources to do that. And so if it doesn't have to look like that, it can look totally differently. But if I could challenge you with anything, be intentional with the parent pickup process. If you can kind of divide who's with kids and who's with parents, that helps with some of the chaos, and it makes parents not feel like they have to wait for everything to be done to come in and get their kids. But it also gives you a chance just to engage with those parents one-on-one or two-on-one and help them be better leaders and disciple makers of their own children.